Evangelist Matthew tells us and says, "Behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream." Matthew chapter 2, verse 13. Every detail of the story of Christmas is embedded with many precious stones of great divine value. Every part of the story presents the astonishing divine thoughts of God and His love that He expressed toward humanity on the occasion of Christmas. Christmas is another dosage of divine love poured upon the entire humanity. God, through Christmas, and for one more time, attempted to entrust what is dearest to His heart into the care of humanity. At first, God entrusted the care of His creation to the hands of Adam and Eve. Sadly, Adam and Eve violated God's trust. Furthermore, when God called Adam and Eve to explain themselves, they were not even apologetic for their trespass. Rather than being apologetic for their violation, they projected their fault, their wrongdoing, their blame for their own violation back on God. And they told God that it was His fault, which is something today happens so often. Whenever there is something that goes wrong with humanity, guess who gets the blame? Through Christmas, God attempted to extend another olive branch of peace to humanity. God today offered another chance to allow humanity to restore its worthiness. And that's why He made Himself a baby, and He gave Himself to the care of the humanity. Babies, they need great care because they are helpless. Sadly, the opportunity of the birth of God as a person, which is the event of Christmas, show the humanity one more time unworthy of the confidence and the trust of God. Even the beauty, the innocence of a baby, of a toddler that is Jesus Christ, did not move humanity to compassion. St. John the Evangelist summoned this when he said, "The Word was made through Him." He's speaking about Jesus. The Word was made through Him, yet the Word did not know Him. The Magi had to come from the east to tell the people of Jerusalem that the Christ was born, even though He was born in the midst of them. He came to His own, and His own did not receive Him. Apostle John, the Gospel of St. John, chapter 1, verse 10 and 11. The event of Christmas is a heart-breaking story. Christmas is a sad story. With every turn and every twist of the story, of the events, humanity, during Christmas, facing that event, showed its ugliest side. St. Luke describes the indifference, the apathy of the society toward an expecting mother. Here you have an expecting mother trying to find a place to give birth during her last days or her last hours. And what does Apostle Luke tell us? What happened? When the time came for Mary to give birth, she wrapped the newly born baby Jesus in a swaddling cloth and laid him in a manger. And the reason? Because he says, he explained, there was no place for them in the inn. None of the hospitality places, none of the motels, none of the hotels in the area offer that expecting mother a room. Luke chapter 2, verse 6 and 7. When Herod and all of Jerusalem, they heard about the birth of Jesus, they did not show him joy or jubilation. Instead, the gospel says he was troubled, he was upset, and all of Jerusalem with him. Matthew chapter 2, verse 3. Let's put this in perspective. Since the time of Moses, thousands of years before the coming of the Christ, the people of God were expecting a Savior, were expecting a great prophet, and they were waiting for that. And now that Savior comes, what is the reaction? They were upset. In a place of sending gifts, instead of sending gifts, Herod sent his messengers of death. Rather than worshiping the divine baby, he wanted to terminate him. Evangelist Matthew says in the reading that we heard today, Herod sent and killed all the male children in Bethlehem and in all that region. He had a certain radius of certain miles around Jerusalem, around Bethlehem, that he killed all the male children from 2 years and under. Matthew chapter 2, verse 16. Various oral resources describe the cunning scheme of Herod. How did Herod manage to do that? He enticed the parents to surrender their babies to his care. He invited them and he gave them the impression they were going to be rewarded. This is how the outcry in the face of this atrocity was silenced and disguised. This is why historical resources of the time do not mention this crime of Herod. Is it not interesting that the same indifference continues to happen today in our society? How many crimes and atrocities are not even recorded? Where is the cry? Where is the outrage in the face of termination of life, even of babies? That tells us that actually the celebration of Christmas is a gauging tool. It's a tool that tests the humanity. Christmas, every year as we celebrate Christmas, our willingness is measured, the society willingness is measured to see if we are willing to submit to the sovereignty of the baby Jesus. So the external forms of celebrating Christmas, the tree, the decorations, the lights, the gift, they carry deeper meaning than just outward expression of Christmas. They reveal how much Jesus as God, how much Jesus as goodness is desired by the society to be part of the society. It shows how much we want him part of our life. The Holy Virgin Mary, the Mother of God, in the story of Christmas, she symbolizes, she stands for the church. It's the image of the church. The church in every day is ready to give birth to God, to give it to society. That's what Mary stands for. The church wants to gift the people with God and make God part of their lives. And Christmas reveals how much the society is eager, or maybe not eager, to receive that baby. How much people are willing to let Jesus sit on the throne of their hearts. The inn, the hotel in this story represents the hearts of each person. When the church comes wanting to give birth to God, are there hearts there out there that will make room for that baby? Or is there no place for Jesus in our hearts because of the passions, because of the sins, because of the evil desires that filled our hearts, leaving no place for God? Christmas is a challenge to every person. How much space they want to give God within their souls and within their hearts. We are called to make a choice. We are called to imitate one of two examples. We can either follow the example of Joseph the betrothed. Joseph, the foster father of Jesus, never said anything. There is nothing recorded that he said. His example only is recorded. The choice is to assume the role of the church caregiver. Joseph in the story is a protector, the caregiver of the church. Joseph was a servant of great obedience. In this short reading that we read, the angels comes to him at that time and say, rise, take the baby and his mother and do this. Rise, take the baby and his mother and do this. And whenever that order came, Joseph immediately got up, followed the commandment to the T. The size of the sacrifice, God asked him, said, get up, go to Egypt. Right in the middle of the night. The size of that sacrifice did not stop him from following God's commandment. He did not object about the time, the conditions, where to go, how to manage, and how to go about this whole trip. He proved to be a faithful and dedicated servant of God. He's a great soldier. Joseph was simply honored to be called to the task. He was honored to be considered worthy of the mission. Christmas this year and every year is an opportunity. Christians are called to be re-energized as caregivers and follow the example of this silent but dedicated soldier. Christians are invited to sharpen their zeal to serve the Christian message. Today you are invited to trim the flame of God's love in your heart. Make that flame as fervent, as blazing as you see in the example of this dedicated soldier of Christ. Stand by ready to protect the most needed message of Christ in the world. Because without that message, the world is nothing but a dark place, a cold place, a heartless place. Stand ready to usher Jesus the baby of the church to safety. Be like the Magi, the wise men. They traveled long and hard to come to the King, bring him worthy gifts, and to worship him. Merry Christmas.